everyone, we're back with another Gunpla review. This time we are looking at the RX-77-2 Guncannon. This is the Guncannon featured in the original Mobile Suit Gundam anime series. It is piloted by Kai Shiden, and later on there's a Guncannon piloted by Hayato. Kind of a cool looking suit from back in the day. I always loved the shoulder cannons and the larger beam rifle. So let's take a look at the kit and see how it compares. Alright, here it is, the Guncannon in all its glory. There's a few things to note about the Guncannon. One, it is basically a almost stickerless suit. I believe there's a little thing for the eye. And then other than that, it is basically free of any stickers. So it makes it a very newbie-friendly suit if you really aren't a sticker person. I'm not really a sticker person myself. Kind of like stuff where the plastic says everything it needs to say. Of course, you have your big cannons here on your shoulders. But let's go over some flexibility first, shall we, before we get into anything else. So right here you can see your feet have a pretty good wobble to them. And no ankle guards to, clutter up anything. In terms of our bendy, we are kind of not great. This is kind of a bulky boy, so that doesn't come together as well as you'd like. In terms of back, there's really not much going back here. It's because of the way the thing is set up here. There's no butt flaps here to move, so it doesn't move that much. However, we do have a skirt here that can go up, and you can get a full kick. So if you want to go and punt something, you can totally punt something. Side, not too bad. Don't know when you're going to want to do a side kick to somebody, but you can. And legs stay pretty smooth and stiff into their slots. As for the arm here, not a lot of flexibility. Actually, the gun's probably going to make that difficult to do. Let's go to this side with the open hand. Move that out of the way. So you get a pretty decent amount of flexibility here. Things out like that. Wrist, of course, turns all the way around. No big deal. Arm can kind of spin around as well. That shoulder gives it some stiffness here. You can kind of move it back. But the cannon and stuff are kind of getting in the way there. Move forward this way. Pretty far up. Can almost do it could do a kind of a full 360. It's going to be a little awkward. You got to position it just right in order to achieve it. Just move that arm out of the way. Cannons can go all the way almost complete vertical, and a little bit aiming towards the ground there. It's not too bad. There's no movement on the backpack whatsoever. The head into frame can lean forward, lean back, side to side a little bit. The gun's mostly getting in the way. Can't really doesn't have much turning radius here either due to the guns, and has a little bit of the forward motion there, but not much. So not a lot of wobbliness or movableness for the head. And lastly, the waist can kind of turn left and right barely. It's very stiff on that. It actually very much reminds me of the suit in the show, where it feels very stiff and not quite as flexible or energetic in terms of movement or build as the Gundam. It's also supposed to not overshadow its partner units. Designed for mid-range combat, it does have its longer rifle. I'm not really fond of what the scope looks like there, like the weird little piece thing. But the rifle itself does look pretty cool. It's simple enough, it's long, allows you for a lot of different posing options if you want to kind of hang it out like that, kind of looking like that, up in the air. It's some pretty good options here. The gun hands. Both sides do have option of a gun hand, so if you want to make him left-handed for whatever reason, you have the choice to do that. Otherwise, you have this open hand, which is kind of used to either stabilize the kind of cannons there, which looks pretty cool, or used for any other pose you may want an open hand. It doesn't really work with the rifle well due to the limited movement of the... So yeah, I just popped the hand off trying to move it towards the other arm. So you can kind of do something like this, but it looks pretty stupid. It kind of works, but I don't know. I kind of like the hand being used for other stuff. This looks like an awkward way to try to shoot someone. It's kind of a weird pose. So put it back up there like I normally have it. Suit has a little bit of stiffness. It makes it good for posing, unless you want to do a really flexible pose with it, then it gets a little bit awkward looking. But overall, it's a relatively easy build, except for one major part here. The cannons themselves had a little trouble snapping into place. They stay perfectly fine after you get them there to where they need to be, but they do feel a little hard to pop in, and I actually had some issues getting the shoulders and arms connecting into the body. That was a little bit awkward too. The polycaps inside here had difficulty staying in place. Nothing you can't handle, with a little bit of patience, but generally an annoyance, especially if you're a newbie and you're not used to more strangely positioned pieces. Despite those minor flaws, he does look pretty good, and even though this was an earlier suit I worked on, so it's not quite as smooth as some of my later suits, it still looks really good. He looks great teamed up with an RX-78, and overall, I really like how it turned out. It might not be the most exciting suit due to its very, very simplistic color scheme, but since I'm a big fan of the classic units, I like that, and it looks really cool, and I very much like how the Guncannon looks in person. Like I said, it might not be for everyone, and if you like the more modern suits that have a lot more detailing to them, I can understand not wanting to play with the Guncannon. But overall, I think it looks cool. I love the shoulder cannons. I love what it looked like when it was finally completed, and it's one of my favorite classic suits just because I love Kai. He's an awesome pilot, and he always stood out in the series to me. I'm going to give this thing a strong recommendation. It's a great suit. It's simple, but sometimes simple is good. And honestly, if you're looking for something to fill in your collection and you're tired of the usual grunt suits, this is a great addition, especially because there are many different versions of the RX-78. But there's very few options when it comes to the Guncannon, and the classic is one of my favorites due to that cool, striking red design. You can find this bad boy running for about $12 to $15. It is a bit of an older kit, so it might cost you a little more or might be a little harder to find, but I doubt you're going to have that much trouble getting a hold of a Guncannon. If you have the chance to grab one, I highly recommend it. I hope this has informed your Gunpla purchasing decision, and until next time, I'll see you at the tavern.